Welcome to the Warriors Haven podcast, the place where discipline meets purpose and everyday people become unstoppable. I'm your host, Jaisha Sutherland, a retired Army drill sergeant, single mom, and the founder of the Warriors Haven. Around here, we talk fitness, mindset, and the mission of building a stronger you, mentally, physically, and financially. Because this isn't just about the gym. It's about life, leadership, and living on your terms. So gear up, lock in, and let's step into the haven where warriors are made. Have you ever looked around at your life and thought, how did I get here? Not because something catastrophic happened, but because one day you woke up and realized you're exhausted. Your finances aren't where you wanted them. Your body doesn't feel like your body anymore. Your relationships feel distant. Your confidence disappeared somewhere along the way. Here's what's terrifying. Almost nobody ruins their life overnight. They slowly build one. One habit, one excuse, one skipped opportunity, one delayed decision at a time. Today, I'm going to show you the invisible science behind why weak habits quietly create weak lives, and why most people never even realize it's happening until years have passed. This episode isn't about guilt. It's about awareness, because awareness gives you a choice, and choice changes everything. I'm your favorite drill sergeant, Jay. Welcome back to the Warriors Haven. Let's get into the episode. All right. Most people think habits work like a light switch. You either have good habits or bad habits, but your brain doesn't see habits that way. Your brain sees habits like investments. Imagine investing $1. Nothing exciting happens. Invest another tomorrow. Still nothing. Do it every day. Eventually, the growth becomes impossible to ignore. Your habits work exactly the same way. Researchers studying long-term behavior change consistently find that repeated small behaviors accumulate into dramatically different outcomes over time through a process called behavioral compounding. Rather than dramatic overnight transformations, lasting change comes from tiny actions repeated consistently until they become automatic behaviors. One healthy lunch won't change your body. One workout won't change your health. One skipped workout won't destroy it either. One unnecessary purchase won't bankrupt you. One difficult conversation won't fix your marriage. One bedtime won't repair years of poor sleep. But compound them. Now you've built a life. The scary part? Your brain compounds both positive and negative behaviors. It doesn't judge. It simply repeats what gets repeated. Here's something most people never learn. The brain is incredibly lazy, and that's actually a good thing. Your brain only represents about 2% of your body weight. Yet it consumes roughly 20% of your daily energy. That's an enormous energy cost. So your brain evolved one incredible survival strategy: automation. Instead of forcing you to consciously think through every action, it shifts repeated behaviors into automatic neural pathways. As habits become established, control relies less on deliberate decision-making and more on brain circuits that execute familiar routines with much less mental effort. Think about driving. Do you remember your first time? Both hands squeezing the wheel, heart racing, checking every mirror, thinking about every movement. And now you drive home and barely remember the trip. Not because you're smarter, it's because your brain automated it. Now imagine your morning routine. You're eating, you're spending, you're scrolling, you're complaining, your procrastination. All of those become automated too. Most people aren't making choices anymore. They're running programs. And here's where it gets fascinating. Most people think, I'll change my habits. Then I'll become confident. Science suggests the relationship often works in the opposite direction. Repeated behaviors become evidence your brain uses to answer one question: who am I? If you repeatedly keep promises to yourself, your brain gathers evidence. I am someone who follows through. If you repeatedly quit, your brain gathers different evidence. I am someone who quits. Notice, confidence isn't built from affirmations. It's built from accumulated proof. Every habit becomes another vote towards your identity. Not one vote, thousands of them. Eventually, your identity starts defending those habits. That's why change feels uncomfortable. You're not just changing behavior. You're changing the story your brain tells about who you are. Here's something behavioral economics have studied for years. The environment surrounding a decision often matters more than willpower. Researchers have repeatedly shown that people tend to follow the easiest available option. We naturally conserve mental effort, so convenience strongly shapes our choices. If cookies are on your kitchen counter, you'll eat more cookies. If your phone is beside your bed, you'll scroll more. If your running shoes are already by the door, you're more likely to exercise. Weak habits often aren't created because people lack discipline. They're created because people repeatedly design environments that make the wrong choice easier than the right one. Every environment is quietly training your future behavior. Look around your house. Look around your office. Look inside your car. Those spaces are either coaching you toward the life you want or quietly pulling you away from it. This might be the most dangerous part. Weak habits rarely create immediate consequences. That's why they're so deceptive. Eating one unhealthy meal, nothing happens. Skipping one workout, nothing happens. Putting off one difficult conversation, nothing happens. Spending $20 impulsively, nothing happens. Watching 3 extra hours of television, nothing happens. But something is happening. Tiny decisions accumulate beneath the surface long before visible results appear. This delay makes it easy to underestimate the long impact of everyday behaviors. Life doesn't punish you immediately. It invoices you later. That's why so many people wake up 10 years later wondering, what happened? Nothing happened. Everything happened quietly, repeatedly, automatically. When we come back, I'm going to explain why your habits are literally contagious, why the people around you are silently programming your future, and why breaking one tiny habit can completely change the direction of your life. Because this next section may completely change how you choose your friends, your workplace, even the conversations you have every single day. Hey, it's your favorite Drill Sergeant Jay. I want to share something with you. Last week, I got a message from a listener who said, "For the first time in years, I have enough energy to play with my kids after work." That's why I do this. If you're ready to become the next success story, please join the Warriors Haven Inner Circle. You can find the Inner Circle on the school platform. That's skool.com. Search for the Warriors Haven Inner Circle. Everything you need is waiting for you in our community. I'll have the link in the show notes as well. Now, let's get back to the episode. Hey, welcome back. Before the break, we talked about how habits quietly become your identity. We talked about how your brain automates repeated behaviors and why small decisions compound into the life you eventually wake up living. Now, I want to take this a step further because here's something I don't think people are talking about. Your habits don't just belong to you. They spread like a virus, like a wildfire, like a ripple in a pond. The way you live today influences how other people around you live tomorrow. That's not a motivational quote. That's behavioral science. Have you ever caught yourself using a phrase your mom always said? Or laughing exactly like your best friend? Or realizing you've started dressing like the people you spend the most time with? You probably didn't decide to do it. Your brain did. One reason is that humans are wired for social learning. From childhood on, we learn by observing, imitating, and practicing the behaviors of the people around us. This ability helped our ancestors survive because copying successful behaviors often increased their chances of staying alive. Researchers estimate that people make thousands of decisions every day, and many are influenced by what they see others doing rather than by careful, conscious analysis. Social cues constantly shape our choices without us realizing it. Think about that. Your brain isn't just listening to your thoughts. It's watching everyone else's actions every single day. Now, let me ask you a question. Who do you eat lunch with? Who do you text the most? Who do you work beside every day? Who do you vent to? Who do you celebrate with? Because those people are helping shape your habits more than you realize. One of the most influential long-term social studies found that behaviors such as smoking, obesity, and even happiness tended to spread through social networks. The researchers observed that people were more likely to adopt certain behaviors when those behaviors became common among close friends and family members. Think about that. If the people around you normalize excuses start feeling normal. If they normalize growth starts feeling normal. If they normalize complaining, complaining becomes your default language. If they normalize accountability, you'll begin expecting more from yourself too. Your environment isn't just where you spend your time. It's shaping who you become. Now, let's talk about something that's affecting almost every working adult listening today. Convenience. We live in the most convenient time in human history. Food comes to our door. Groceries arrive with a tap. Entertainment streams endlessly. Artificial intelligence writes emails. Packages arrive the next morning. Convenience itself isn't the problem. The problem is when convenience slowly replaces capability. Every time your life becomes slightly easier, you have to intentionally choose not to let yourself become mentally weaker. Psychologists describe something called effort avoidance, the natural tendency to choose the option requiring the least mental or physical work when all other factors are equal. It's an efficient survival strategy, but in today's world of constant convenience, it can unintentionally reduce opportunities to build resilience. If every challenge gets outsourced, what happens to your ability to solve problems? If every uncomfortable conversation gets avoided, what happens to our communication skills? If every stressful moment gets numbed by scrolling, what happens to our emotional resilience? The muscles you don't use don't grow. That includes your mental muscles. Here's something I wish someone had told me years ago. Comfort isn't always kindness. Sometimes comfort is a prison disguised as peace. Your brain loves familiarity because familiar things feel safe. But here's the catch. Safe doesn't always mean healthy. Think about how many people stay in jobs they hate, relationships that drain them, financial habits that keep them living paycheck to paycheck. Not because they're happy, but because they're familiar. Researchers studying decision making have shown that people often prefer maintaining the current situation even when better alternatives exist. This tendency, called the status quo bias, reflects how our brains frequently perceive change as carrying more risk than staying the same. That's why weak habits are dangerous. They don't feel dangerous, they feel familiar. Now, I want to talk about something deeply personal. Every time you tell yourself, I'll start Monday, I'll wake up early tomorrow, I'll eat better next week, I'll save money next paycheck, I'll make that call later. You think you're only delaying an action, but your brain hears something else. It hears, my words don't mean much. Over time, repeatedly breaking commitments to yourself can weaken your sense of self-efficiency, the belief that you can accomplish what you set out to do. Psychologist Albert Bandura demonstrated that self-efficiency grows through repeated experiences of following through and succeeding, not simply through positive thinking. Think about that. Every promise you keep to yourself is evidence. Every promise you break becomes evidence too. Your confidence account works just like your bank account. You either make deposits or withdrawals. There's no neutral. Here's one statistic that stopped me in my tracks. Research suggests that a large portion of our daily actions are habitual, rather than the result of deliberate decision making. In many situations, our routines are triggered automatically by familiar cues in our environment instead of conscious choices. Most of your day is yesterday repeating itself. That's why people say things like, I don't know why I keep doing this. Because the conscious mind isn't driving, the habit is. Imagine trying to steer a car while someone else keeps grabbing the wheel. That's what it feels like trying to change a deeply ingrained habit without changing the system around it. You don't need more motivation. You need a new operating system. In this final part of this episode, I'm going to show you why one tiny habit can create a chain reaction that changes your health, your finances, your relationships, and even the legacy you leave behind. We'll talk about the neuroscience of keystone habits, why your future self is watching every decision you make today, and I'll leave you with a challenge that could completely change the direction of your life. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Hey, it's your favorite Drill Sergeant Jay. I hope you're getting massive value out of today's episode. If you are, hit subscribe right now and leave a quick review. It helps us reach more warriors ready to rebuild their identity. If you want to step up your discipline, join our school community, the Warriors Haven Inner Circle. That's school.com. SKOOL.com. Find the Warriors Haven Inner Circle. Plus, my new book is coming out towards the end of this year. It's built for people who are tired of relying on motivation and ready to rebuild their life through discipline, science, and purpose. The links are in the show notes. Now, let's finish strong. Welcome back, warriors. If you've been with me through this entire episode, you probably realized something. This isn't really an episode about habits. It's an episode about the life your habits are quietly building while you're busy living it. Because every day you wake up, you cast votes, not in an election, but for the person you're becoming. And the hard truth is this: your future doesn't care what you intended to do. It reflects what you repeatedly did. Now, here's where I want to introduce you to something behavioral scientists call a keystone habit. A keystone habit is a behavior that creates positive ripple effects in other areas of life. Instead of changing just one outcome, it increases the likelihood of improvements across multiple behaviors because it changes routine, cues, and expectations. Think of it like knocking over the first domino. You don't push over all 100 dominoes. You push the first one. For one person, that might be making the bed every morning. For another, it could be laying out tomorrow's clothes before going to sleep. For someone else, it's taking a 10-minute walk after dinner every evening. These actions seem almost too small to matter, but they matter because they create momentum. Researchers studying behavior change have consistently found that success in one self-directed behavior can increase confidence and improve follow-through in other areas of life. Small wins create psychological movement, making future positive actions feel more achievable. Your brain begins to think, if I can do this, maybe I can do the next thing too. That's how transformation starts. Not with giant leaps, with one domino. Here's something fascinating. Your brain is constantly making predictions. It isn't just reacting to the present. It's trying to guess what's coming next based on your past behavior. Neuroscientists have found that the brain continuously uses previous experiences to anticipate future actions and outcomes. This predictive process helps conserve energy by preparing familiar responses before you're even fully aware of making a decision. Think about what that means. If you've skipped your workout 10 Mondays in a row, your brain expects you'll skip the 11th. If you stayed up scrolling every night, your brain prepares for that routine before bedtime even arrives. If you've always quit when things become uncomfortable, your brain begins to expect quitting as the normal ending. That's why change can feel awkward at first. You're interpreting a prediction to your brain that has been made and been making for months or years. The discomfort isn't proof you're failing. It's often proof you're creating a new pattern. One of the biggest myths people believe is this: it's just one bad habit. But habits rarely stay in one lane. They spill over. Think about poor sleep. If you're tired, you're more likely to grab convenience food. When you eat poorly, your energy drops. When your energy drops, you're less likely to exercise. When you don't exercise, your mood can decline. When your mood declines, you may become more irritable with your family or coworkers. Now, one habit has touched your health, your emotions, your work, and your relationships. The same thing happens in the opposite direction. One healthy routine can trigger a series of positive behaviors throughout the day. Behavioral scientists sometimes call this the spillover effect, where one positive action increases the likelihood of making additional positive choices. Rather than existing in isolation, many habits reinforce one another through connected routines. Your life isn't made up of separate compartments. It's a connected system. Now I want to speak directly to the average hardworking person listening today. Maybe you're working 40, 50, or even 60 hours a week. You're raising kids, paying bills, trying to make ends meet. You aren't lazy. You're exhausted. And somewhere along the way, you started saying, "I'll focus on myself when life slows down." Can I lovingly challenge that? Life has never promised to slow down. There will always be another bill, another project, another season, another responsibility. If your habits are waiting for perfect conditions, you'll spend your life waiting. One of the most consistent findings in behavioral psychology is that action often comes before motivation, not the other way around. People frequently experience greater motivation after taking the first step because progress itself fuels momentum. Don't wait to feel ready. Ready is rarely how change begins. I want you to picture yourself 10 years from now. Not the version you hope to become, the version created by your current habits. Where are you waking up? How does your body feel? How are your finances? How strong are your relationships? What kind of example are you setting for your children? What story are your coworkers telling about you when you leave the room? Now ask yourself one question. If I keep repeating today's habits for the next 10 years, would I be proud of where they lead me? Because that's the real question. Not what do I want, but what direction am I walking? You don't accidentally climb a mountain, and you don't accidentally drift into excellence. Both happen one step at a time. Before we close this episode, I don't want to give you 10 things to do. I want to give you one. Today, choose one habit that makes and takes less than 5 minutes. That's it. Not because it's life-changing by itself, but because it's a vote. Drink 1 glass of water before coffee. Read 1 page of a book. Walk outside for 5 minutes. Write down tomorrow's priorities before bed. Put your phone in another room while you eat dinner. Send the text you've been putting off. Save $5 instead of spending it. Small enough that you can't justify skipping it. Meaningful enough that it reminds you, I'm becoming someone who follows through. Because every time you keep a promise to yourself, you're not just completing a task, you're reinforcing your identity. Warriors, a weak life is rarely built through one catastrophic decision. It's built through thousands of moments when we trade what matters most for what feels easiest in the moment. But here's the good news. The opposite is true too. A strong life isn't built through one heroic act. It's built through thousands of ordinary decisions that nobody applauds. The alarm you don't snooze. The workout you complete. The conversation you don't avoid. The money you choose to save. The book you read instead of scrolling. The promise you keep. Those moments may never go viral, but they'll build a life worth living. Remember, you don't rise to the level of your goals. You rise to the level of your daily habits. So ask yourself tonight, what kind of life are my habits building? If this episode challenged the way you think, don't keep it to yourself. Share it with someone who's been saying, I'll start tomorrow. Sometimes one conversation is all it takes to change the direction of someone's life. If you're looking for a community that's committed to building stronger habits, stronger minds, and stronger lives together, come join us inside the Warriors Haven Inner Circle on School. That's school, SKOOL.com, and search for the Warriors Haven Inner Circle. That's where we take these conversations and turn them into action. And if you're ready to go even deeper, join the waitlist for my upcoming book, where I'll share the practical framework I use to help people rebuild their identity from the inside out. Until next time, I'm your favorite drill sergeant, Jay. Keep showing up, keep stacking the small wins, and remember, strong lives aren't inherited. They're built, one habit at a time. And as always, stay strong, stay focused, stay ready. Hi, friend. Thanks for tuning into the Warriors Haven podcast, where we turn discipline into freedom and help you build the body, mindset, and lifestyle you deserve. If today's episode fired you up or gave you just that little push you needed, don't stop here. Head on over to thewarriorshaven.com, where you'll find details on how to jumpstart the next version of you. Remember, it's not about being perfect. It's about showing up for yourself every single day. So until next time, stay strong, stay focused, and stay ready. I'm Jaisha Sutherland, and you're listening to the Warriors Haven podcast.